Because whenever he sits in there, like.
Alan? Yeah. You have the check.
The one from,
Yeah.
Custom.
Yeah, sorry, I keep touching my mic. Okay.
Action.
Captions for hearing impaired. Description, the show, one person speaking.
It's not a touchscreen.
You know, I think that I would say.
Is that it? Oh, there it is. There it is. There it is. There it is.
Do you see
Got it.
it? Oh, sorry, never mind. It's doing it. Okay, it's doing something and hopefully we can figure out the transcription part. Sorry, Kitty, that I didn't figure that out today. Today had too much going on. So let's stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The village and town of New Paltz Lords humbly acknowledge that we are on the traditional lands of the Munsee, Esopus, and Lenape people. The Indian Removal Act of 1830 forced the people to relocate to inhospitable territory far from the banks of the valley and mountains we inhabit today. The village and town further acknowledge that much of the physical structure of our village and town was built by enslaved Africans who labored as the property of their owners until 1827 on this very land. We acknowledge and honor the contributions, resilience, and accomplishments of the BIPOC community, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, who have overcome historic injustice to inform our past and inspire our future. The village and town of New Paltz encourage everyone to learn more about the contributions and sacrifices made by the Indigenous people and enslaved Africans by visiting these sites. If you have resources that you believe should be included, please contact us here. Thank you.
Thanks, Stevie. So we only have one agenda item. So I guess we'll open up to public input. I had a sign-in sheet, a couple of them over there. If Kate, maybe because you're the closest to it, if you bring it, so thank you. So the way we'll do this is if you do your best to keep it to 3 minutes, that would be fantastic. If you have something in writing, you can hand it over to me and I'll get it to all our clerks. And your goal is to address the boards and we'll go through everyone on that list first, but then if you didn't sign up and you still want to say something, you'll have a chance after that. And yeah, I guess we'll take it from there.
You want to not sign the sheet, you want to say something? Sure.
Cool. Yeah, it just makes it a lot easier for our clerks and for me to remember who to follow up with when people sign in. So yeah. Thank you, Will. Cool. And so, first up, we have Maggie. And you can feel free to come sit in this chair or you can stand, but as long as you can get close enough so that the recording can pick you up and all of that, that would be awesome.
Well, I'm kind of sick, so.
Yeah, but come close enough to the owl, otherwise the audio is not good.
So my name is Maggie Ramirez, and this is 3 minutes, by the way, Zapata Ortiz, and I'm from the Sunset Bridge community. I'm here to say this agreement should be taken off the table as recommended by Mike Zeeler, a dedicated longtime New Paltz village leader. New Paltz is currently in a state of great flux with numerous construction projects in the works. It faces problems and issues on a number of fronts, whether it's traffic or insufficient water and sewage capacity, housing, etc. Further complicated by the fact that we are a college town only 90 minutes from New York City. There are clearly many important priorities to focus on to protect our beloved New Paltz from urbanization and gentrification and the loss of its beloved small town feeling. We believe it's high time we call time out to reassess and reevaluate what has been done and what our priorities should be. You are acting to vote on a so-called agreement, which is really nothing more than a cut and paste abbreviated document of the dissolution plan that was previously withdrawn. It has numerous problems. The idea that it's a simple process and nothing much changes is not true. Village employees do not want this. Some will be in a worse position and there will be downsides to service delivery and workloads. The agreement does not state that any cost savings will be accomplished. In fact, it states all village employees and services will be retained without saying how the expenses will be covered. The so-called tax savings are state funds that have to be appropriated every year in the New York State budget. Nothing is guaranteed. It is a year-by-year decision and amount is subject to change. Furthermore, even if the funds are appropriated, it will not cover all the village expenses. Who will bear that burden? Town residents who are already paying higher taxes but are not entitled to village-related services? There are no specifics on how zoning will change, and we already see the impact of the Russian barracks that now line Old 32 Ball North. It is what happens when you don't pay attention to zoning laws, let alone affordability issues. We are pushing New Paltz residents out of their homes and their village to try and pack private market rate rentals. Even more important, there has never been one single consolidation referendum in New York State. Why? And why New Paltz? This agreement does not cover important details and specifics, and frankly, is unnecessary and not what the town village priority should be. It will simply consolidate power in a way that is not in the best interest of New Paltz. Every town president has a right to know what's going on, and nothing has been communicated. Please, you need to table this until you're ready with a comprehensive and detailed plan that truly benefits all of us. This agreement compromises everything we hope to preserve about the integrity of New Paltz. Let's reevaluate our priorities, tackle that, and vote no to moving this agreement further today. Thank you.
Thank you. So next is Roger R. and then Susan D. You're on deck.
Before you start the clock running, I have a couple of questions. How many taxpayers are there townwide? This includes the village. Do we know? Does anyone know?
Like households or
Yeah.
population? I
People
mean,
who
the
actually-
population of the town and village is 50,000.
No, that's not the population I want the taxpayers.
The total
themselves.
number of parcels?
No, not that either, the taxpayers. This includes the village as well.
So the population, as far as the village goes, the population basically is taxpayers. You know, a lot of us pay taxes through our rent, through, participating
Yeah.
in all the different ways.
But I take it this would not include students.
We're not supposed to be answering questions.
Right,
It's a public
exactly.
hearing.
So-
Just make a statement and move on.
Public hearing.
Yeah.
So,
oh, no, but
7:08,
it's all
yeah.
appropriate for him.
No, you're
One,
right.
one. Let Alex run the meeting.
Yeah, no, you're so right. I was just like, a census question gets me going. So we'll definitely get back to you on that. Let's hear your comments, sir.
Well, I'm concerned about the water and sewer. Because I need neither. I live in the town, outside the village. And I don't want to be sucked into paying for something that I haven't really voted for.
And you won't.
Why?
100% not.
Why?
We've discussed this at this table numerous times. So if you have a private well and a private septic that's siloed from the public utilities, they will never be commingled. It's actually illegal to commingle them.
Yeah, I'm not asking that. will I have to pay?
No.
For the,
100%, again, that would
So-
be illegal if you paid for someone else's water and sewer.
Right, and if, I think let's get your comment out there, and then I think we'll be addressing your concerns throughout tonight, and if not, throughout the rest of this process, and we have your information, can definitely follow up. So let's get your comment out there, yeah.
well, I just see a broadening of the tax base for payment for the necessary services that really are limited to the village. And
Again, water and sewer is completely siloed and has nothing to do with what property taxpayers paid for. It's illegal to commingle them.
yeah, but I wish that were in the draft.
It's in everything we've ever said.
Yeah, it's been said in like every meeting. somebody
I'd
asks
like to
someone a
ask the
question.
board what the format of this public comment is supposed to be.
Yeah, so everyone, like I said, 3 minutes, make your comments. Sorry, I got sidetracked. I usually don't do that. But if you can get your comments out, and then we usually do our best to address them during the meeting. And that's part of the reason why I have people sign in, so we can follow up with,
Okay.
actual answers.
I'm concerned about the water and the sewer. At some point being sucked in, because the comment, the entry for that as the Hamlet district says that it's in the best interests of the village and town to work together on this, which I can see for the affected residents. But I see no gain for someone like me living in the town with my own water and septic, with which I'm very happy. And I don't want to support a process that is not solving the consent decree. It's still not doing it. The sewer is overloaded in New Paltz. There are too many new homes, residences, Russian barracks coming into the system. And where's the ability to handle that? I think New Paltz has outgrown its bridges, especially the village. And I'm sorry. I've lived here since '87 full time and am glad to. But I'm concerned about that and the zoning that might get changed as a result of what I'm seeing on 32 North. Because I don't think we needed this. And I don't think we needed to give pilots to these developers. I would like a pilot myself. Wouldn't it be nice? Little relief from taxes. But that's not going to happen.
Do you mind wrapping it up? Sorry.
Yes, I think I'm done, but I'm against consolidation. I think it is basically a con job.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so Susan is up next, and then Tom is on deck.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so, I have my copy of the consolidated plan, and I've been reading it all the time. And at first I thought, well, I'm on the HSCI, the Housing Smart Community Initiative for the town. And we've cobbled together a really good little working group of people to address the issues that we feel are important to the town regarding housing. And it hasn't been easy, but it's coming along. So when I first thought to make a comment tonight, I was concerned about being usurped as a group. And after I finished reading it, I was not only not concerned about it as much, I was cheered. I felt enthusiastic about the idea of being as a part of a working group of various housing related communities. And to have that be the pattern for us. I also was delighted to see that this could all be leading up to a master plan, which is something that we needed for a long time. I think a consolidated master plan that can be used for writing grants and just as a standard of what we want to do, where we want to do it. So in general, I'm very encouraged and I'm willing to work on behalf of this being a really good effort. So, my committee's gonna be meeting next Monday. We'll be talking about it. And I want to be as clear as I possibly can be. So thank you.
Thank you. All right, Tom D, and then Dr. Rose is on deck.
I won't be talking that long. The issue of consolidation has been before the town and the village for many years, as we all know. And it's been discussed and dismissed. Now we have something very different, obviously, something very significant, which is help from the state, this incentive from the state, which casts a very new light on this process. I've also gone through the document. I participated in hearings last year and this year. This is a process that has been going on for quite a while. It was also part of our election discussion, so it really can't be said, I believe, that we haven't had the opportunity in our town and village to learn about consolidation. It's all there for anyone who wants to know. So I'll say that I am glad that this document is up for approval tonight, and if approved, will go to a public hearing because that's where it belongs. It belongs to the people, and in the end, it'll be voted on by the people of the village and the town. So we have opportunities now over the next months to prepare for that vote. And thank you.
Thank you. All right, we have Rose followed by Ron.
As much as you've talked about it with each other, I don't think a lot of people know about this. The details, how it affects them. I think most people are unaware. I live in the town. I have a town supervisor. I don't want a mayor. And I think there are two different things, and that's why the state has them. There are town supervisors and there are village mayors. I want the town supervisor to live in the town and know what it's like to live in the town. Because it is different. I can't walk to campus. I can't walk to town. I can't walk to the village. I live too far away. So I'm against the consolidation, but I don't think you should be discussing it until there's a vote. I mean, you could have your plan and everything. There's a written document. There's a written document like this is a done deal. And I have that feeling of done deal. And I really don't like done deals in a democracy. People have power. And sometimes they think they can do things without the consent of the people. If you have the consent of the people, I'm fine. But if you don't, and you keep going like you do, I think there's something has been harmed. Our democracy has been harmed. And boy, that seems to be a real activity these days, I guess. A real thing in our society. So I think you should discuss it, do everything you want, but wait until the vote, until you do something about it. Because it might not happen. And then you've wasted all your time too. And the document that I saw was not very good anyhow. I would have taken out my black pencil.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, Ron is up next, and I saw someone sign in on the other sign-in sheet, so we'll get to that next, don't worry.
Thank you very much. I realize I'm here before both the village and the town boards. I've lived in New Paltz since 1968. When I came to New Paltz, that was an inflection point here in terms of the change. At that point, the campus was basically the old main quad. I lived in one of the two new apartment complexes here, Village Arms and you know, the Pride of New Paltz at that time, Colonial Arms Apartments, which were contiguous to the build-up area of the village. This was a walkable village at that particular time. The homes were basically single-family homes. And obviously, over the last nearly 6 decades that I've lived here, there have been substantial changes. Now, at this particular point, I want to applaud both the village and town boards for the open approach to this process. We are 5 months away from the election in November. We're very, very early. We have a resolution before us tonight, and you've already published draft resolution that may go to the public in November. But my suspicion is there are going to be many changes along the way as a result of the public meetings and your own internal discussions with the village and the town separately, the village and the town together. So I see this as a very important open process in which many minds will be changed. Right now, I am all for consolidation. I think we've seen much evidence over the last decade and a half of departments in the village and the town working together that was necessary. We are at a point where I think the possibility of consolidation is a good one under New York State law and the like. So I'm willing to continue to participate in the process over the next 5 months and move us to a decision that is a consensus decision for the broader community here. Thank you very much.
Thanks. All right, that's it for this sheet, but I saw someone sign in on the other one. You can just come on up. And I'll reconcile the different sign-in sheets later.
How's it going? I just went speaking on behalf of my wife and I, and we just want to first off thank the town and village boards for their efforts in working through this very complicated process, and just speak in favor and happy that we are bringing this to a vote and allowing people to speak. Short and sweet.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else wishing to speak before we move on? Awesome. Well, don't worry, there's gonna be a bazillion opportunities to speak on this issue in the next few months. So yeah, let's move into our one agenda item. Which is basically to, to approve a resolution, which would move this process forward to the public hearing part of the process.
I second your motion for discussion.
Cool. Thank you. So discussion.
So we're here tonight to make suggestions and changes to this document.
So the point tonight is, the way I see it is to just
draft. So,
We can address that if you want.
yeah.
Go ahead, Alex. Yeah.
So, I guess, I was like, I brought my like journal entry on the topic just in case it would help. I'm not gonna share all of it, but the whole point of tonight is like not to really dig into our draft joint consolidation agreement. Although we can do that in bits and pieces in every single meeting here on out, why not? But the point tonight is to basically vote whether or not to move this document that is intended to be a draft to a public hearing. So then we can really all, tear into it as a community and make those edits in that final round.
wouldn't it make more sense to suggest changes to this document so that when we get to the public hearing, we have a document that we've all participated in?
So as KT explained at the last meeting, we're following a script that's dictated to us by New York State. So we have a consolidation agreement. All we're doing tonight as two boards is deciding whether or not to endorse that document so it may be considered by the public at the upcoming public hearings.
Well, I have, pages of questions about this document. And the problem is that at our meeting, as you recall, the video died. And I had lots of questions ready and said that I would bring them to the next meeting. So what I don't want to do is, what I want to do is have a document that when we get to public hearing, the public feels confident that they have their questions answered. I don't want to put this off again. People have waited 10 to 12 years to vote on this thing. But I want the document to be, to answer a lot of the questions we're hearing tonight. So I have prepared. Does anybody else have any comments on the document?
Oh, maybe I'm misunderstanding this. My thought was that, or my understanding was that there's a document with good parts and bad part, whatever you think of it. There's a document that's been worked on over the months and, you know, maybe years. And it's that document that's going to be, there could be endless provisions or changes or whatever that could go on in, you know, for quite some time, years even. So my understanding is that we're at a point where there's a consensus among the people that created the document, that this document is at a place where it can be presented to the public for additional response from the public, or then more consideration, other thoughts by the board.
So on that timeline, if we just say, yes, we're voting on an imperfect, in my opinion, document tonight.
As it probably always will be.
Well.
You can't have a perfect document if it's more than
Excuse me,
5 pages.
may I finish? So, I think we can get close to perfect. There are some big questions in the document, but what I don't want to do is wait until July. And we have to have this document ready by August to put it on the referendum. You know, this has been a pretty, even though we've been talking about consolidation for 10 years, we've only had this document for a month, right?
What are your big questions?
Okay, just settle down, everybody. So I've taken parts of the document. The municipalities agreed to establish cross-departmental teams in the impacted departments to foster collaboration and facilitate ease of transition. Who will be on these teams? Will employees be expected to do this work in addition to their regular duties? And have the employees been part of this decision-making process? I ask that because when you look at the organizational charts, it looks to me as if some positions are not there. What are the components of the village total liabilities of $18,450,290? That's one of these numbers that floats around in there, but I never saw that explained. One issue I have repeatedly raised prior to this working group, which I can't find in the original British study and which I don't find in the JCA, is cost transparency. The draft JCA gives us projected tax rate changes, but not the actual dollar amounts of the village services that would move into the town budget. Without those numbers, how can we know how much of the $1 million citizen empowerment tax credit would cover new costs? We need to see which village budget lines shift to the town, the dollar cost of each of those lines, how much of each cost will be funded through new special districts versus the town general fund, the total new costs that town outside the village taxpayers would assume, the portion of CETC required to offset those costs, the portion that remains for tax release, and what special revenues, such as the gross utility revenues, will be forfeited. They mentioned that in the document. So right now, the JCA tells us that town outside the village taxpayers would see a 1 to 3% increase without CETC and a 2 to 6% decrease with CETC. But those percentages are not backed by any line item numbers, and we need to see those numbers. Are the transition costs realistic? Typical New York dissolution consolidation transition costs are between $600,000 and $1.5 million, depending on complexity. This document is proposing roughly half of that, and I want to be sure that that is a reliable estimate. Nearly 600 new apartments have been approved in the village. We don't need a separate planning department, but we may need to hire more fire and code inspectors. Will those costs stay in the village, hamlet, or become part of the town building department budget? So I want to thank all of you for working so hard on the body of this thing. I have, a very, I have a very specific concern about creating a new planning department. The Jason, pardon? It's so much easier for me to go into this and ask questions than it was for all of you to write this, so I appreciate the effort that went into this. The JCA states that the town department of building, planning and zoning is anticipated to be split into 2 departments. I can't find any anticipation of this recommendation in any previous documents. In reviewing the minutes of the Land Use Steering Committee of April 2025, there is no recommendation that a separate planning department be created. The minutes say only the recommendation under Town Planning Board and Town ZBA integration strategies, increase professional staff support, continue to utilize all current D&T staff members. The May 2025 dissolution plan does not recommend creation of a separate building department. When I asked the steering committee for an explanation of why a separate planning department was being considered, I received a detailed reply, thank you. Which was, here's an excerpt. When there are 2 department heads, the choice is to make one a deputy in a combined department or to keep the separate departments. The recommendation of the steering committee is to keep them separate, with one focusing on building inspection and codes and one on planning. The recommendations included having strong professional development for the boards. I appreciate the reply, but the word keep is ambiguous. There are 2 employees with the same title, and we want them both to keep their jobs. But neither the town nor the village has a planning department to keep. Both have building departments and a volunteer planning board with professional staff. Creating a deputy makes sense. The 2 department heads to work out who gets which title. But if the steering committee is committed to creating an entirely new department, the rationale for a change of this magnitude needs to be documented in the JCA itself. The JCA also states that the new planning department will provide professional support to the planning board, ZBA, and other boards. Since neither municipality employs a professional planner, the way to provide that support is through outside consultants. The JCA anticipates this, budgeting $40,000 for consultant services for transition planning. Because no standalone planning departments exist today, the proposal to create a new one represents an expansion of government structure, not a consolidation. It adds a new department head, new administrative layers, and new costs. This is inconsistent with our stated purpose of consolidation, which is to reduce bureaucracy and increase efficiency. Creating a new planning department where none currently exists defeats that goal. For these reasons, I am requesting that the minutes of all steering committee meetings be added to the consolidation website and the JCA be modified to recommend a deputy director in the planning department, or a clear explanation of the budgetary, staffing, and efficiency justification for creating a new planning department. Thanks for your patience, everybody.
Thanks,
But
Kitty.
I just don't want to see us creating new ones.
Yeah, thank you so much. I took notes. So I would say one thing about like tonight, like the goal is, and like what I would say about this document is, I feel it's at a point where it would 100% benefit from public scrutiny, you know, and that's usually my test of like when it's time for public hearing, and not so much if it's perfect. But if the boards wanted to call, you know, some of our experts up for a better explanation of it.
I'm happy to do that. I just want to point out that the one thing that's been missing from this process is what the process that we did 10 years ago was to create citizen groups. We had an economics group, we had a planning group, we had a historic preservation group. And so I can see why some of the public are a little frustrated tonight when they're being limited to 3 minutes, because they really haven't had a chance to talk to us.
That's why the state requires us to have public hearings on this document. And let me, look at, I would love to like respond to some of what you were asserting. So we're not creating a new planning department. We already have staff that are performing planning functions. We have in the town and in the village, a department that does building and planning. So all this is doing is making it more clear in terms of who exactly is doing what. And you're able to do that by combining all the current staff that you have and then making it more clear. Like, for instance, in both the town and the village, you will have building inspectors that specialize. Some specialize on performing inspections of, certain types of building permits. Others specialize in just doing inspections of properties that need a fire inspection. This is more about being clear about who is doing what within the planning and zoning department. And I think another comment that you made within your list, which I thought was very curious, because it speaks to, I don't think you fully understand when additional units in a community are constructed, that's not a new expense. The way you run a building department is you match expenses with revenues, right? So when you perform like a rental registry inspection, that generates revenue. So you run your building department and your inspection department so that you're pairing up your expenses with your revenues. So to answer your question, yes, those new units would be part of the town, but those new units should be cash flow neutral. That's how you run a local government. You don't run a local government by just creating new expenses and not having the ability to offset those expenses. This is, the village is not sitting here being like, oh my goodness, a bunch of new properties have been constructed. Now we have to raise taxes. No, the building, if there are additional properties that need to be inspected, the village administration will be like, well, should we hire an inspector to, make sure that those inspections are being performed, and then make sure that the building inspection fees are enough to pay for that individual's employment? So, and I didn't do that when you were talking. Okay, so, and we've repeatedly answered your question about transition costs. I mean, I realize that you're using Google and you're saying, oh, it costs over $1 million to do an integration of 2 local governments. We've actually looked at how much it will cost to do an integration of these 2 governments. So we're not just like making things up. We're not using Google or large language models. We're using actual realities of how this government currently functions, what tasks need to be performed. This is not a ChatGPT exercise.
On the first day that I was elected, we had, one of the things we voted on was the cost of all of the fees that that the town charges. You were there. We all agreed on that number, and those numbers are important because you want to try to have that balancing act of that the building department is paid for by the people who are using it. And so the first day that I was elected as an official, we voted on the price of all those things. And as time passes, we move them up a little bit, move them down a little bit as things happen. But the building department is funded by those fees. And if we were to run into a situation where the building department was running into the red, there's a solution to fix that. You raise the cost of a building permit. It's pretty simple. It happened the first day I was an elected official on this board. I looked at the numbers and they all seemed okay. And if there is a problem with that, we can fix that very, very easily. That's not a problem. It's a siloed department that's in charge of development, and whatever the fee is the fee. And if it has to go up, it has to go up. I don't think anyone's gonna stop $1 million project or a $10,000, $100,000 house or $200,000 house because the building inspection fee went up $10. It's not gonna matter. Okay, I don't think that's gonna do that. Those fees are siloed though. That doesn't affect taxpayers. And you voted on that. You should know that.
But, thank you for
Okay.
telling me what I should know. What I don't know is somewhere in this document, it says that the B fund, which is where those revenues and expenses are siloed, will be transitioned to the A fund. So how do we do that? Right now, the B fund for the town is self-funding through those fees. But the recommendation in this document is that the B fund assets be transferred to the general A fund.
And just like the expenses and revenues of the village's general fund will be transitioned into the town's A fund. So you have one A fund that saves for everything, and that generates revenue for everything.
You know, Katie,
It's just a cleaner form of government.
I appreciate the thought and detail that you're examining the document with. It's pretty impressive that you're spending the time and energy and you care that much. So thank you for that. I think that there's a larger issue kind of, which I think is kind of maybe gets to the heart of what you're saying, which is that there's 65 pages in this consolidation agreement. And obviously a lot of thought, a lot of detail. As you read through it, you see how all these pieces are gonna come together. This is the first, consolidation is kind of the first step. Then there's a 2-year process via which a lot of these things get worked out. It would be, if you wanted it all to be worked out now, it would be a 300-page document or a 2,000-page document. And it would be pretty much unavailable to anybody nobody's got the time to do that. So the idea is that the outline is good. The premise is good. A lot of details have been worked out. And then we're moving into a transition phase where, a lot of these other details, you're really getting into the minutia of these little things, and which are important, but that will happen during this. I think you would agree that everybody involved in this process has their hearts in the right place. We all want the best for New Paltz. We all care. We're all basically, doing this for the good of everywhere in the community. So I think you can have some faith or I have faith that people that are involved in the process moving forward are gonna, have the best intentions and have their hearts in the right place, and also bring a lot of rigor, analytical and experiential and professional rigor to the process going forward. So I think your points are I don't understand all of them, but I think they're probably very valid. But I think that those will be developed in time, and they'll be addressed in time.
I will share this with you. But to Tim's point that my research is ChatGPT, I actually looked at the transition costs for the town of Orangetown.
I know.
South Atlantic.
Many times.
But it's a huge town in Rockland County and a very small village, and they were close to $1 million. So I think we need to.
Yeah, I mean, I worked in the town of Orangetown, I did a few applications there.
Okay,
It is a whole nother world down there.
yeah,
I mean, it is like, it's just, have you seen their new building? It's just like, I don't know, it's a $40 million building or whatever, but it's a whole nother, reality.
my point is that it is a whole other reality. It's a great big town that only had to absorb a little tiny village. And we are not really comparable to that. So if it costs them $1 million to absorb a tiny little village,
I think they could.
the transition costs, let's take another look.
Well, I just said about Orangetown, I think they could spend $1 million very quickly.
Well, I
Yeah.
think we all.
But we're actually using real numbers, real projections, real, consultants who have looked at what we're doing. We're not like looking at a community that has nothing to do with us and just extrapolating what they did and saying that it's relevant to us, like. It's kind of disingenuous to apply,
That's not.
like, because every
A minute ago.
every
we were talking
integration
about
of.
Everybody having a good heart about this, so let's not call each other disingenuous.
I think it is disingenuous to repeatedly bring up that same example and we repeatedly respond to it.
Can I get us back on track? Do you mind?
I have another question.
I would second Alex's motion to.
Yeah, well, I want to make sure we address like Kitty's first point, if you don't mind. And we have some folks in like right in the first row who've been working in the steering group who I think can address it way better than I did about how the feedback and input and edits and whatnot can go. Like, would you be able to fill in the blanks?
You come closer. So-
Thank you, Scott.
Can I ask a favor real quick? If anyone has a conversation they need to have, do you mind having it outside? I have trouble hearing,
Yes.
conflicting.
Getting picked up.
Yes.
Perhaps have Scott introduce himself.
Oh, yes, please.
I'm Scott Minkoff. I'm from the Benjamin Center at SUNY New Paltz, and I've been working with the steering committee and the boards on this project. I want to say a few different things just in response to what's going on. First off, and these are in no order, they're just the order they're stacked. On transition costs and comparisons, I would caution both boards to be careful in comparing here. I say that as somebody who does a lot of comparison. What the New Paltz situation is significantly different than some of these others, in part because the town and the village are already working together and are in effect consolidated in ways that, from what I have seen in these other situations, though I can't piece them out in my head right now, they are not. Police department is already consolidated, various aspects, a lot of this division of labor is already happening. There isn't a giant new building that needs to be built.
There is.
No,
There's not, there's a potential to remodel.
that
this
building needs to be built whether we consolidate or not.
That's fair, but, so I would just say that a lot of these differences are significant, that, so just to be careful. The assumptions, I think that went into the planning here are strong, that doesn't mean they shouldn't be questioned and considered. But I think the transition costs, the comparison with Orange or, some of the others we've seen. It's also worth noting on this same topic that while this would be the first consolidation in New Paltz, that is mostly a technicality because there have been many dissolutions, in New York. So there's been many dissolutions. Consolidation is a way to do this in a planned, prepared way. Dissolution is a way to sort of do it quickly and with less planning. So it's also worth keeping that in mind. If it succeeds, it'll be the first consolidation that there have been about 20 dissolutions to this point.
More than that.
More than that. Okay, on the big point that you got to that I want to get to. The process here, and the attorneys can also speak to this as needed, is that you're gonna, if you endorse this today, that is not in any way a final word on this document. You have multiple hearings, you can take input, and you can amend this document prior to putting it up to a vote. What was that?
I was saying throughout.
Throughout the process.
Yes, you can, thank you. Yes, you could amend it throughout the process.
It's expected. I don't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, no, please.
It's, on that thought, it's expected. This is what we in the biz call a fluid document. It's being endorsed. If it's endorsed tonight, it starts the public hearing process. And during that, public feedback can be submitted in writing. The boards will be discussing the document further. The steering committee will take all of that under the Burgess leadership and with Scott and KT. And it's going to change. This is by no means anywhere
considered to be the final document that's gonna be voted. Go ahead.
I'll just say, actually, what I was just saying, the word endorsement is a bit of a misnomer here, and
It's in the statute, unfortunately.
yes, I know, but,
That's the bad part.
right, but it confuses the issue, right? You're endorsing it for consideration, you're not endorsing it for consolidation, and that's a major difference that maybe we at the Benson can do a little work on to make sure people understand that distinction, and I'd be happy to do that.
That'd be great, thanks. We'll talk later.
So I think those are the main things. Was there anything else you wanted me to hit on here?
No, thank you for coming up and kind of making those points, because that was like what my whole essay was about too, is that basically we're saying we're good with the work that's been done. Let's like get it in the community's hands and like, let's get, roll up our sleeves and like make it into something we're all good with. And there are other off ramps.
On that.
Well,
point,
if you want to
the
fill
one
in
thing I want to
too.
Say, and then I'll go to you, is that, the steering committee in the town and village are following a prescribed, essentially, a prescribed process by state law and Department of State. They have significantly restricted what can and can't be in here to some degree. And it's worth noting that the consolidation agreement, please confirm this, can't simply reorganize certain aspects here. The new town board or the revamped town board will need to enact ordinances and laws that actually carry out this stuff. It's a plan, so it doesn't, for example, create, new organizations or new flow charts or organizational charts. Those charts will still need to be enacted, correct? So it's a process and a plan, not a final document, both in the, even if it is approved, even if the town votes to consolidate, there's ways in which the document could change.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The only other point I wanted to make to both boards is the steering committee referred the JC, the Joint Consolidation Agreement, to the Department of State and asked for their involvement and feedback. And they've been working with the committee and they've sent back some suggested changes. They've been incorporated into this latest version. We just got those last week and they've been very helpful and very cooperative with us. Particularly because they know our reliance on the Citizens Empowerment Tax Credit and how critical that is, and that's the only way that's gonna happen. So this Department of State has been working with us in a very collaborative way, and I've found it to be very helpful.
Thanks.
Do you agree?
Yes.
Oh, that was the only thing I wanted to say there.
Thank you.
Just one thing responsive to Scott. Thank you for all the work. Thank you everybody for all the work that everyone has been doing. I just wanted to reflect back that my understanding of what we're voting on tonight is voting for more public involvement, and voting to like take the step of more public hearings, really, really taking seriously the fact that a lot of public comments have been about people wanting to have more input, wanting to have more voice, wanting to have a platform for that. So voting to endorse this, to move it forward, is a vote to hear the public. That's what this is tonight. That was just how I was thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't think we can echo that enough. Like, I feel like, Rose's comment in particular, she was nervous about like whether this felt democratic. And we're following the outline prescribed to us by the New York State Department of State. These are the steps that we're required to take. So we have to come up with this consolidation agreement, then give it to the community after we endorse it, unfortunate word. And then the community provides feedback, then we can update it. And then we still may or may not decide to give the community the chance to vote on yes or no to pursue the plan. So there are numerous opportunities for democratic participation, including a ballot referendum in November.
So yeah, I think it's good it would be a good idea for us to kind of stay on track with that. Like if everyone's cool, because there's plenty of room for lots of edits.
Scott,
Even after the vote.
to answer
Yes.
Roger's concern about the town residents end up paying for water and sewer, Casey also, you had said something about outside the village, water users rate should go down. So,
Kitty, very dangerous territory, because a town water district is not what Roger's talking about.
But he may think it is.
I know, and the way you just described it is very dangerous.
So let's let Scott describe it. Scott and Katie. But it's Scott and Katie
So two things.
create a one pager.
We will definitely do that. I think we have asked LaBerge for their numbers on estimations on water district numbers. I have no numbers for you here today
Okay.
that are specific to New Paltz, though the general trends are sort of understandable within the document itself. But to Tim's point, I would say that the consolidation is very separate from water and sewage districts. They are their own thing. They are special service districts that are funded by fee payers, not by the general fund, not by property taxes.
Right.
So,
But as we heard tonight, there is some confusion about that.
yes, I acknowledge there is some confusion about that as well, for sure.
And that's why if we wanna do an exercise and provide a sheet that explains how town water district users' rates will be impacted, they will actually go down.
Right.
That's very different from what Roger was talking about. Roger was talking about being a property owner with his own private well, with his own private septic, and he does not want to be involved in paying for public utilities. And that wish is 100% how this works.
Yeah, so.
get brought into a district, they don't want to.
Exactly. So if everyone kind of understands like the purpose of this resolution at this point, like, I would like to call the question.
Great, I'll second.
Okay.
Wait, Rusty had, I don't.
Yeah, so what is it, the water,
Rusty, come on up. You're gonna do a public comment now, out of order.
what is it, the water?
Wait till you get close to the owl.
Sorry.
And sir, it's comments, not a question and answer.
What is it, excuse me?
If this is, you're being allowed to make public comment on the agreement, it's not a,
Okay,
it's
well,
not a question and answer
okay.
situation.
Thank you. What is it, the water plant and sewage plant of the village needed upgrades to the tune of $3 million? Wouldn't that be then part of the taxes?
Absolutely not.
It wouldn't?
No, that'd be illegal.
Then who would pay for that?
The people who use the water.
So the people that use the water.
You have a private well, are not allowed to contribute.
So even though
You
the
could make-
village and the town would be
No.
together, that would still be all the people that use
Yes.
village water.
Yeah, ratepayers will pay the rates and for the
So that would stay
infrastructure.
the same.
We don't want your private well
Okay.
water money.
All right.
Just curious.
Yeah, we'll definitely get that in a one pager.
It's the next one, I promise.
We'll have
Back in the
it for you
chair.
soon.
When this goes before the community, is there a simple way to present this? Because,
I'll answer, well.
you know, like, what are the, list 5 things that are, positive for the bill, for the town to do this, 5 negative things like town home.
Okay.
5 negative things for the town to do this, 5 positive things for the village to, because I've been in the marketing and sales arena for umpteen years, and simplicity allows people to understand, because people aren't gonna, I try to read that document, and I went through it, and some of the numbers are.
Don't read it, only read the stuff that the Benjamin Center
Yes,
offers.
well, I went through it, and, you know, your head tends to explode a bit, I'm sure.
Are you talking about the ballot itself?
No,
Or are you talking about the information leading up to it?
yeah, all the information, I'm asking, knowing, relating to people in a simple fashion, is there a way to present this at these?
Are they up there right here on Alex?
In a simple.
There,
Oh, I'd highly recommend that it's done that way.
yeah, so we will have some more one pagers coming out, and to that end, your questions are so helpful because like the more people who like reach out and say, this part is so confusing, can you tell me what's up? That gives us like an excuse to talk to the Benjamin Center and say, hey, can you help translate this whole wonky thing into something that makes sense to normal people?
And for those that don't know me, I've been in the business community for 40+ years.
Yeah.
I own the White Professional Building up on Main Street. Some numbers are part of my DNA. But one thing, I also had a computer business from 82 to 2000. And in 82, everything was very complicated and most business guys couldn't, their heads would explode. And my business was very successful because I simplified everything. I took the technical part out. So I highly recommend
You're gonna love this.
that the village do that.
But let's do, Rusty,
Let's get
let's
things
do
back on
full
track.
disclosure, and your wife was my 6th grade teacher.
I know.
Probably the best middle school teacher I had,
I know.
100%.
Thank you. I'll let her know that.
So to be continued,
And the former police chief used to call my wife Mama.
awesome. So we'll address all of that. Okay, so, thank you.
Okay.
So, I guess we had a second and then we had a hold up. So can I call the question now?
Yes.
Second, okay. All in favor of this resolution?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Nope, one absence. She's on the road. Trustee Towers is sad she can be here, but we'll fill her in.
We just have,
So I guess motion
business,
to
you guys wanna
adjourn.
adjourn your?
Yeah, let's adjourn the joint session of the meeting, so the rest of us can roll out. The town's gonna leave. So motion to adjourn the joint meeting. All in favor? Aye. Town stay.
Okay, so we're gonna do this quickly if everyone can hold up. We wanna have a vote on a resolution to require a surety bond. Farmer's Choice at the dispensary up on the eastern part of town. We're requiring them to put up money to make sure that they meet all the details in their site plans, as well as making sure that they plant some trees that are building department wants them to plant.
Bond amount is $47,500. It was approved by, recommended by the planning board engineer. And, they recommend approving that bond.
Does someone want to second my motion for further discussion? Okay, any questions? All in favor? Aye. Okay, we'll move to adjourn. Yeah.
Are we doing our, are we adjourning?
Do you guys want to go into executive session?
You can't adjourn, man, you gotta.
I know, we would undo it.
What's that?
We would undo.
Undo your.
No, we're undoing the video. Yeah, you're done, you're done. We would just keep our meeting open to go into executive.
I
What?
thought we were gonna do an executive session Thursday.
We can do that.
I think
We don't want another 4 hour.
my recommendation there was to have labor council available on phone.
Yeah.
Email the board about that. I think I'm better served to do it Thursday when we have Matt.
Okay.
Okay.
Because he's running that case.
So you can have one short meeting, one long meeting instead of 2 long meetings?
So did they adjourn or not?
They did.
We did.
Okay, sorry. I'm not.